listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast, where we hold space for the stories, practices, and insights that help us live with greater intention. I'm your host, Sana, and today's conversation is one that many of us feel deeply connected to. The moment when the life we built no longer aligns with the life we desire. My guest, Laura Hunter, lived that experience firsthand. From high pressure boardrooms in the corporate world to deep personal healing, Laura's journey is a beautiful reminder that sometimes we have to completely unravel before we can come home to ourselves. So, let me share a bit about Laura with all of you listeners. What started as her search for peace in the chaos led her into the world of sound healing, theta healing, and vibrational therapy. Powerful tools that don't just soothe us, but actually help regulate our nervous systems and release what we have been carrying for far too long. So, today on the Mindful Living, we are going to explore how sound literally brings us back into harmony, how unprocessed trauma lives in our bodies, and why slowing down might just be the ultimate act of healing. So, with that, Laura, welcome to the show, and I'm so honored to have you here and to share your story with our listeners.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Sada. Um, my name is Laura Hunter, and I am the founder of Divine Love Sound Healing. Very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. So, let's start with your story. I mean, two different, completely opposite worlds. You have a background in accounting and real estate, and then you transition into the world of healing, sound healing, vibration therapy. So, if you can take us back to that moment, what was happening in your life when you realized that something had to change?
So everything goes back to I started my journey of like healing in 2014.
Mm.
Um, and then that's when I discovered meditation. And I went and I did past life regressions and all this because the therapy that I was going to, I just went to like talk to a psychologist and that wasn't working for me. So I decided to dive into different things and meditation really did it for me. So I started doing a little transformation there. But we get lost in life, and then I got lost in my accounting life. Then I went into commercial real estate, which is not just real estate. Commercial real estate is it's full of hectic and it's a hard career. But I like numbers, so I think everything makes sense. Numbers, which is funny because vibrations and energy, it's all numbers at the end of the day too. So I was in my commercial life and then I was burned out. I stopped. To me, music had always been part of my happy places. I stopped listening to music. I was just in a whole hustle mindset that was also very masculine, a lot of masculine energy. And I was just burned out. And also I had not healed completely what was my traumas from childhood, my grief. I had my dad passing away when I was a child and I had never grieved this. So I was in a lot of masculine energy. I was in a lot of pain inside of me, which was kind of like forming into my physical body. My whole digestive system was just not working. Um, just sharing personal parts of it. I would not go to the bathroom for like weeks and it was completely fine, but it was my digestive system built up with all this energy of unhealed processed energy. I was very closed up with my heart. All the grief was standing there in my heart chakra. Um, and then so in 2020, that was my slowdown. from the hustle and bustle of my commercial real estate and everything. I had a lot of deals that I had to work through 2019,
Okay.
which is like hard, like processes that take a commercial real estate. You have to do a lot of steps. So
Mm.
I was in those processes, and every single one that I had to work through the whole year just fell through the wall like nothing. So, I did my quarantine. I meditated so much. I was meditating morning, lunch, and before going to bed. And that started changing my perspective a lot. So in 2018, I went in a so I discovered sound healing in 2018.
Okay.
And that was a game changer in my life. It was the first session I went to, it was actually a meditation center that was really close from my office, my real estate office. And then I went to check it out because it looked cool. Um, it was a 2-hour meditation of sound healing, a 2-hour sound healing meditation, a detox meditation, they called it. Um, when I get up, I had not known about sound healing meditation at this point. So that was my first experience. When I get up from this sound healing,
Mhm.
I was a completely different human. There's just no way for me to describe the feeling. It was like I felt so absolutely light, and I was able to kind of like pick my own thoughts, and nothing else matter but like my thoughts from like my heart, my essence. I get up and I was like, wow, I can't even drive right now. I felt like I was so like high in life, that I went to my car, I sit down, I was like, I cannot drive right now. And I was gonna drive to a coffee shop to go work. I was like, I cannot do that. And mind you, my life at that point, those like 5 years before this, I was just doing work. Like I would get up at 6 in the morning, I would go to sleep at 2 in the morning. I was not spending time with my family. I was literally not settled into the real essence of life and the joy of life. Um and I sit down, I call my best friend, I said, I can't even walk, drive. I don't know what happened. And after that, my whole entire perspective started switching, and it was layers coming out. My grief started coming out. I started recognizing the things that I was supposed to heal to change my path. Um so going back to 2020, well, in 2018, although I started going to sound healings, I started following this sound healer everywhere he went. I was there the first for like a whole entire year.
Yeah.
Um, and one of those followings that I was doing, it was a weekend of sound healing. I was like, a whole weekend of sound healing. I'm so in. When I get there, it was actually a certification.
Mhm.
So that was like faith to me, putting me there because I did learn the instruments. I had at that point no mind, like no thoughts that I would ever be a sound healer. I did love it because it took me back to my childhood, things that
Mhm.
I needed to heal. When I was a child, I grew up in Colombia until I was 12 years old and
Okay.
then moved to the US.
Mhm.
Um, I was in a music band, let's call it that, through my whole childhood. So I was connected to instruments, since I was early in, my childhood. But then moving to the States, not doing those things anymore, it kind of like, it was painful for my inner child. So my inner child needed to heal that.
Yeah.
Uh, which it was a process that I went through, and then I reconnected with the instruments through this weekend of sound healing. I bought my first instrument there,
Mhm.
and that's it. I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be my own practice," you know? Never thought of sharing it with the world. And then 2018 happens, the slowdown happens. I'm burned out from my crazy, masculine career,
Yeah.
and, through all my meditations, I was like, "Okay, like, I think something needs to change from now on, like, after this whole thing ends." So I retook the course at the end of 2020, if I'm not wrong, or 2020. January early. I
Mhm.
retook the certification now conscious. Um, and then I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. I'm into all of these things. I'm into energy. And I took it serious at that point.
Wow.
Mhm.
So much, so much. I mean, how beautifully you put it. I was kind of able to picturize a bit of it, and so many questions I have, Laura.
And then as soon as I stop a little bit, I'm like, let me slow
First
down.
of all, I love that you have you're associated with music right since your childhood, and yes, grief can uh, sometimes make you kind of lose your own identity or your sense of self, and it's really really fortunate enough that you came across sound healing, and how beautiful you said that it helped your inner child to heal. And I just want to ask Laura, for the first time when you attended that session, after that, when you didn't feel like driving, it was like you were completely high, in a good sense, of course, for all the listeners. But uh,
Mhm.
did you have this sudden burst of emotional release? Like, sometimes when and this is something very personal. Sometimes when I listen to a particular song that reminds me of childhood, and that too when I'm listening during a very sensitive time in my life, sometimes tears, I kind of get
Mhm.
a bit teary eyed. So did something like that happen with you?
Yes, yes. So it's super cool that you brought that up because I did experience that, but every sound healing is different. So every sound healing is it brings different depending where we are. It will bring different things. So there has been sound healings where I don't cried, but there's sound healings where tears come out and you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Um because I call it a gentle healing. This is like the beautiful part of sound healing. I literally call it a gentle healing because so now that I know all these things, I could understand what was happening through my sound healing sessions. Each sound healing bowl that I the way I set up my practices, each sound bowl, it's connected to each chakra, each
Okay.
point of energy that we have. So it has the same frequency, so it resonates with it. What happens is that if I'm playing the heart chakra and I have all this grief, because grief lives in our heart.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the chakra that is representing grief. So if I'm playing the heart chakra and you have a lot of like build up grief,
Mhm.
I'm breaking into that energy. I'm gently breaking that energy up with the frequencies. It's the sound frequencies resonating and bringing it back into its full balance of its essence. So, what happens with trauma is that it builds up in each chakra. So, that wheel kind of like stops wheeling. Um, and we're breaking into that energy. So it is normal to feel this grief, like this sense of wanting to cry or like feeling the feelings that would come up, which is also very cool because the frequencies that I work with are in 432 hertz, and those are taking you into a journey into a theta brainwave. What's a theta brainwave? It's kind of like when we go to bed, but we're not asleep yet. It's kind of like when people take you on hypnosis, they
Mhm.
take your brainwaves there. For what reason? To rewire your subconscious, to clear out your traumas, to tap into that subconscious,
Yeah.
and that subconscious is where we are holding all of this energy. So it's a connection of like our biofield, which is our energetic body, and the theta brainwave going into that subconscious and tapping into our amygdala, where it's like that survival alarm system in our body.
Mm,
So it's super cool how everything is so intertwined. So you do feel your feelings. Like, if you have been like maybe sexual abused
mm,
and I played the root chakra and the sacral chakra, you might feel uncomfortable. But it's I tell my people to surround to it because it's being released. It is hard for sometimes to like be in those emotions. Sometimes it's anger. We're like super overactive. Um too much fired.
mm,
So we try to balance all of these things out and clear out all those energies that are no longer needed in our mind, like in our memory and our energetic body. It's amazing. So you do feel all these things through a sound healing. Another cool thing that happens is that, which is the reminding of the childhood. A
mm,
lot of the times, so besides me having the chakra set,
mm,
um, I have every single element. We have all the elements in our practice: air, fire, earth. I have ether, which we usually don't talk about, and air. Ether is the space. It's part of our five elements. Um, And then, so I have those 5 elements within the other instruments I use. And what's the purpose of that? The purpose of that is that our nervous system remembers. Our nervous system remembers water as like calming. Right? So it's bringing our nervous system back into these places. And usually, when we go back into these places, we are in that childhood aspect when we were running around, feeling the water hitting our body, running and feeling the air, touching our skin, or just simply like being back home for those who maybe are not in their home place, but feeling the rain, the ocean water, all of these elements our body recognizes as a safe place. So it brings back this nervous system goes back into that state of calmness and stillness and it remembers. So it's so funny because out of all the instruments I have, the one thing that every single person always asks after a sound healing is, what was that at the end that sounded like water? And the instrument is just the water stick, which is the most simple instrument that we probably all happen to have or touched when we were a child, like when we were kids. But it's the body remembering what feels safe and what feel happy, and it's just so beautiful how our whole entire being, like, we're part of nature. And
absolutely.
that's why our body is like, "Hey, yes, this is paradise."
I mean, you are really making me nostalgic, Laura. Re-
Oh.
Um, that's fascinating. That's fascinating, and that's why I personally love the power of sound, and also, I mean, in the interest of time, Laura. I mean, I wish I could
Mhm.
go on this, but for someone who is listening right now, maybe they would have tried meditation or breath work, but still they are feeling stuck. What
Mhm.
would you say to someone who is curious about exploring sound healing or theta healing as part of their journey?
I would say to go for it. And honestly, to put it more simple than what I just explained, sound healing starts with our own voice. So just chanting, well, that could be like a lot, but just homing, like that's
Mm,
activating our nervous system. That's that vibration that is happening is rippling through our whole body. What happens is that our body is like mostly like 70% water.
mm,
Um, so water is where the sound travels faster. And our water within our body, it's just all over the place because we're in the world. A lot of things happen. But calming it down is the key and bringing it back. And we could do that with our own homing. Um, and sound healing is just a beautiful practice because I have a lot of people that come to me and say, I cannot meditate. And I tell them it's okay. Like that, first of all, takes practice, takes years. You're not going to be you're not going to clear your thoughts right away. Um, it's about observing them without being attached to them. So when they come to my practice, it's really amazing. Or any practice, you could go try any sound healing if you are wanting to go meditate, but you cannot meditate because the frequencies help your brain get to that state. The frequencies help your body get to that level of stillness, and like you kind of like lose gravity. It's really amazing what happens, what frequencies do to your brain, because what is happening is it's a neural connection that is happening into your brain. Your brain is so busy thinking like, oh, where is this sound coming from? What is this sound? And then if I play two bowls together, two different notes, because they have music notes. So if I play two different music notes, it gives you a third note, and that third note is your brain is losing their mind. The mind is like, whoa, where did that come from? So your brain is so busy um, trying to figure out where this frequency is and that frequency is coming from, and how did it go from one note to another note, and where did the third note come from, that your body gets to rest and your thoughts kind of like become like a movie that you could just like watch, not pick on. So that's the beauty of sound frequencies. It helps you get to the meditative state that a lot of people are trying to get to, and they can, because this just takes practice. It's not that you cannot, it's practice, and you have to be dedicated to your practice. So sound healing really helps beginner meditators. Um and it's a fun, gentle way. With the theta healing, I incorporate that into my sessions when I have one-on-ones and they want to work on something very specific. Like they know what they want to work on. They want to release something. And that's when I integrate it. Through my group sound healings, I use theta healing just to clear out each chakra. Um, and open up space for renewal and balance in those areas. Was that the question?
So, what's the first step? And of course, if our listeners they would like to connect with you to take the first step, what would be the best way?
So they can reach me in my website. It is divinelovesound.com. And on Instagram, it's my name, Laura, and Laura Gurell, Guirall. That is the two main ways to reach out to me. My website is really friendly. You could click anywhere to send a message, to send your inquiry. And I also have a form that you could fill out if you have something specific you would like to work on. And on my Instagram, I share, oh, on my website, I actually share a blog. I have a blog where I'm integrating science and like um latest science work that has been done, proving all these beautiful things that our Asian culture knew for so many years. So I like that integration, and I do blogs on those topics. And on my Instagram, I just post my life maybe, and I shared my classes and everything sound healing.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the details in the show notes, Laura. And thank you. I mean, this was such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Um, Not only your personal journey, but your wisdom and how beautifully you weaved the glimpses into the world of sound healing with your words. Thank you so much once again.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me and for asking me all these beautiful questions.
Thank you for your kind words, Laura. And to all the listeners out there, if you want to connect with Laura and explore more about her beautiful work in sound and energy healing, make sure to check out the show notes for links to her offerings. And maybe this conversation is a gentle reminder that healing isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it is being still long enough to hear your body's own frequency calling you home. Until next time, stay mindful, stay open, and most importantly, stay connected to your inner harmony. Thank you.